chapter 18, number 61, they give us a problem where we have two objects of equal mass. They tell us the mass is 2 times 10 to the negative 6, which is the same thing as saying 2 microkilograms. Now again, we're looking at mass, not charge for now. So they're both 2 microkilograms, and which means that they are attracted by some kind of force of gravity. They also have equal charges. They don't tell us if it's positive or negative or the actual number, they just tell us that they're the same. Now, again, there's a force of gravity attracting them together because they have mass. And they say that the charge is counteracting that. Now, since gravity wants to push these two objects together, they have to have the same charge. The reason they have to have the same charge is because their electric force has to be pointing in the opposite direction. So charges have to be both either positive or negative. If one was positive and the other one was negative, then they would attract each other. So if they're both positive, they're both negative, they pull apart, and they can counteract that force of gravity. Now, the next part is they actually want us to calculate the charge. So we look at the equation. So force electric going this way, force electric going that way. So if we just look at the purple orb, we know that the force of the electric has to equal the force of gravity. Now, electric force, we're going to use the K, Q1, Q2 over R squared, and for force of gravity, we're going to use the big G, M1 over times M2 over R squared. Now, since they both have an R squared, we can kind of, simplify our math by just kind of canceling them out. So we get K, Q1, Q2 equals G, M1, M2. Then we can try to isolate the charge. Well, first of all, we know that both the charges are the same, so we don't need a Q1 or a Q2. We can just say 1Q. So we'll say KQ squared is equal to GM1 over M2, and then we divide by K, so we get Q squared equals GM1 M2 over K, and because it's Q squared, we just take the square root of that, and this is our equation. Now we can just plug things in. We plug in our G, plug in our M1, we plug in our M2, we divide by the K, and from there we just plug it into our calculator and we find that Q is equal to 1.7 times 10 to the negative. Now, we don't know if it's positive or negative, we just know that the charge is 1.7 times 10 to the negative 16. So either they're both positive 1.7 times 10 to the negative 16 coulombs, or they're both negative 1.7 times 10 to the negative 6 coulombs.